Hey there, and welcome to Light Novel Sound, where I bring stories to life through voice. Today, we'll embark on a journey into the world of Astral Pet Store by Ancient She. And if you'd like to read along, you can find the original novel at lightnovelworld.co. So, what's not to love about transmigrating into a world full of pets? There are mighty creatures of all shapes and sizes, some cuddly, some fierce, and some, both. And I've even got my own pet store to run. Sounds great, right? Well, not exactly. My younger sister can't stand me. I've got zero talent for handling astral pets. And don't even get me started on the bizarre system I'm stuck with. But hey, it wouldn't be a proper transmigration without a few ridiculous challenges, right? Before we jump in, a huge thank you to Ancient She for creating this incredible story. And if you enjoy the audiobook, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It really helps support the channel and keeps these stories alive in the YouTube world. Alright, let's dive into Astral Pet Store. Chapter 371, Friend. This angry punch made the seal vibrate. Even the stage was shaking because of the strong impact. At the bottom of the seal, the junction between the seal and the ground, a huge crack with the width of half a palm appeared and was expanding quickly. The seal that had never been broken one bit ever since the beginning of the Elite League cracked under this one punch. Deathly stillness covered up the venue. It was as if someone had pressed the mute button in the vast venue. No one was making a sound. Everyone was staring open-mouthed, aghast. Apart from the audience, in the front row, the family heads, the representatives from the government, as well as Yin Feng and Zhao Wuji, all of them stood up from their chairs and stared in bewilderment. The seal was broken. The seal that could stand a strike from a legendary battle pet warrior was broken. Even the family heads that were usually sophisticated and hard to read were losing control of their expressions out of astonishment. What? Qin Shuhai was taken aback. He had recognized that the titled battle pet warrior that came out from nowhere was Su Ping, the talented young man I met in the mysterious realm. But what is the meaning of this? Legendary battle pet warrior? Qin Shuhai couldn't believe that thought in his mind. That was not a sane thought. He just felt that this young man was unfamiliar, as if he had never understood or known the young man. Inside the seal, Yang Bingyu would rarely show any emotions, but at the moment, the stupefied look was frozen on her face. It never occurred to her that the seal could break. She was aware of how strong the seal could be. The device used was the same in all the base cities, and the seal could withstand a strike from a legendary battle pet warrior. Those below the legendary rank would never damage the seal one bit. Whoosh tilde. All of a sudden, a gust of cold wind that could cut through bone and flesh assaulted her. As the seal broke, the young man outside the seal slowly took a step forward. With that step, he was inside the seal. He was like a vicious and savage beast that had been finally set free from imprisonment. The profound killing intent gradually seeped to every corner inside the seal, on the stage. People could even smell the smell of blood in the air. How many killings and battles would he have to go through to exhibit a killing intent of this level? That killing intent pulled Yang Bingyue's thought back to reality. She was shivering, feeling chills all over her body. She felt the world around her turned pitch dark in an instant. The only thing that remained in the world of darkness was her and that violent person. At that moment, she was isolated from everyone else and she was the target. No one could save her. Fear filled her eyes. She bit her tongue. The pain cleared her mind from the fear of violent killing intent. She stared at the pair of eyes that were full of fury. Her heart was pounding violently. Although she had grown up in that place and had undertaken endless risky training and had tainted her hands many times with blood, she was feeling scared at the moment. She thought nothing could frighten her anymore. She was tasting the taste of death in her mouth, quite clearly. In this critical moment, her brain was working quickly so that she was able to clear her mind and calm herself down. She quickly flew toward the place where the judges floated in the air and shouted at the same time, "Come and help me. What are you doing there?" The two judges were still in shock because of the broken seal. They came back to their senses upon hearing the shout. The judges turned pale. They realized that the titled battle pet warrior was probably Su Lingyue's family member and had stepped in to intervene in the match, furious because Su Lingyu was losing. The judges were unwilling, but they had to do their job. They looked at each other and eventually decided to face the music. They flew to Yang Bingyu. Anyway, Yang Bingyu came from a powerful background. They could not allow her to be killed in public. It was when the two judges were about to do something when a clap of thunder rumbled. Following that was a bolt of lightning that was glaring to the eyes. The next second, another bolt of lightning flashed in front of Yang Bingyu. After the glaring light vanished, a figure was revealed. It was Su Ping. Thunder sprint in the air. That quick speed took Yang Bingyu by surprise and frightened her. He said nothing and made no sound. Yang Bingyu saw a pair of eyes. That was a pair of blood-red eyes that contained fury and extreme coldness. The look in those eyes expressed contempt, aversion, and tiredness. That was a look that no human being, no other living creature would want to see. Yang Bingyu was shaking uncontrollably. She couldn't stop it. She was shaking out of instinct and fear. "Give her me," he said slowly and in a low voice. Yang Bingyu was still staring blankly. Before she came back to her senses, she felt a cold sensation coming from her wrist. Next, she saw a girl appearing in the young man's arms. The girl was Su Lingyu, whom she should be holding in her hand. But on Su Lingyue's hair, there was a hand. It was her hand. Yang Bingyu lowered her head and gazed at her hand in confusion. The hand was gone, cut off from her wrist. Blood was oozing out, but she couldn't feel any pain. "I am sorry," Su Ping whispered hoarsely. The raging and screaming killing intent and all of his negative emotions had faded away at this moment. Staring at the girl in his arms, he suddenly realized that he had been wrong all this time. He wanted to hone Su Lingyue's mind so that she would become stronger. So that she could do well even without him. But they were family. Why would she have to leave him? Why did he push her to such a harsh competition? Even without him, considering Su Lingyue's talent and her academic performance, when she graduated, she would have found a good job or she could climb to a high status as an explorer. Either way, she could live without worrying about food or clothing. But this day, the competition had almost cost her life. If that had actually happened, Su Ping didn't know how to face his life from that day on. This would be something he would regret forever. "I should be the one saying sorry." In his arms, Su Lingyu put on a bitter smile. "I lost. I couldn't." All of a sudden, something leaped to her mind that changed her expression. She darted a glance to the Moonfrost dragon on the ground, only to see that the dragon was still on its knees with its front limbs supporting its body on the ground. The scales were still falling and blood was still spilling. It seemed the dragon was still trying to fight back the effect of disobeying her order. "No!" Tears once again broke out. She turned to Su Ping, grabbed his collar, and begged, terrified, "Ping, save the dragon. Save Frosty. Please. I'm begging you. Save the dragon. You gave me the dragon. You must know something. Please." She had never once begged Su Ping in all of her life. Su Ping had changed into a different person whom she had become to admire. Even so, she never wanted to say the word beg to this guy. It was like some weird expression of her pride. But right then, none of that mattered. To hell with her pride. She forgot about it. She just wanted to have the dragon saved. She just wanted to save the one that would rather sacrifice itself than hurt her, the one that was her friend. Hearing her words, Su Ping cast a glance at the Moonfrost dragon as well. What the Moonfrost dragon did had exceeded his expectation as well. He didn't know that the dragon and Su Lingyu had forged such a close relationship within such a short span of time. Not every battle pet could have done this. Su Ping wore a grave expression as he saw more and more wounds appearing on the dragon's body. Electric sparks appeared around him. He dashed and appeared in front of the Moonfrost dragon the next second. At the same time, he put Su Lingyu down. The Moonfrost dragon was on the ground. The dragon was still trying to fight back the force that was corroding its body, but the dragon was utterly worn out. The dragon was shedding blood like water. As Su Lingyu and Su Ping appeared in front of its eyes, the dragon managed to put on a smile. The dragon raised one of its paws, trying to pat Su Lingyu. However, with one paw lifted off the ground, the dragon almost fell on Su Lingyu. In a hurry, the dragon put its paw back down on the ground but coughed out some blood. Su Ping used astral powers to help the Moonfrost dragon brace itself. He calmed down his anger. The priority at the time was to save the Moonfrost dragon. Shu Kuang! Su Ping shouted. Thanks to the astral power, his voice was loud enough to penetrate the seal. Shu Kuang was still on his seat, in a complete daze. At Su Ping's shout, Shu Kuang trembled and came back to his senses. Yes! Shu Kuang shouted at once. Qin Xiaotian and the other three turned to Shu Kuang when he shouted. Get the dark dragon hound out, Su Ping ordered. Shu Kuang was baffled. Even so, Shu Kuang opened up a swirl and summoned the dark dragon hound as required. When the dark dragon hound came out and saw Su Ping, it barked at him. Come here! Su Ping ordered with his mind. The dark dragon hound ran toward the stage. After Su Ping had blasted a hole in the seal, the damage was soon repaired after more energy was supplied to the seal. Back when Su Ping was about to strike Yang Bingyu, Yin Fengxiao, who had turned ghastly pale in fright, immediately shouted to the working staff to open up the seal. Without the hindrance of the seal, the dark dragon hound ran onto the stage and hopped to where Su Ping was. The dark dragon hound was very happy that its master had summoned it. The hound rolled around in front of Su Ping, wagged its tail, and then squatted down like any other dog with its tongue sticking out. That was an adorable look. The audience was so surprised that their eyes stared woodenly and their jaws hung. What's the deal with the dark dragon hound? Wasn't it Shu Kuang's battle pet? Why was the dark dragon hound so comfortable with the strange young man? Healing. Su Ping paid no regard to the dark dragon hound's cute action and commanded with a frown. The dark dragon hound was visibly relieved that Su Ping was asking it to use its favorite skills. The dark dragon hound nodded and cast many healing skills at the Moonfrost dragon whose life was fading. As the dark dragon hound was unleashing the many 9th rank healing skills, once again, the people in the audience were transfixed. Shu Kuang's reaction was no different. How could a battle pet of the demon family use so many healing skills? Soon, with the help of the healing skills, the injuries suffered by the Moonfrost dragon slowed down. But the internal damage inside its body was still progressing. Su Ping sent some astral powers to the inside of the Moonfrost dragon and checked carefully. A moment later, Su Ping breathed in relief. Luckily, Su Lingyu had cancelled her order in time and given its dragon nature, the Moonfrost dragon was born to be strong. Adding the dark dragon hound's healing skills, the damage was finally stopped. The Moonfrost dragon's vitality would be undermined, but it would survive. Chapter 372, Participation. Don't worry. It will be fine, Su Ping said to Su Lingyu. He told her the result at once. Having known the result, the helplessness in Su Lingyu's eyes disappeared. A glow of happiness and hope burst out from her eyes. She asked him a couple of more times to confirm the results and he nodded to her solemnly. She wasn't sure, wondering whether he was merely comforting her. The dragon could indeed survive indeed. Frosty. Su Lingyu walked over and patted Frosty's paws. I will never ask you to do anything you don't like anymore, she said, feeling sorry and guilty. The Moonfrost dragon's breathing had calmed down. It nodded to her with a loving look in its eyes. Su Ping was happy that the Moonfrost dragon's state had been stabilized. The next second, coldness came back to his face and killing intent to his eyes. Whoosh! Whoosh! In the meantime, two people dashed onto the stage to where Yang Bingyu was. It was Yin Fengxiao and Zhao Wuji. They were worried and nervous. By the time they saw that Yang Bingyu had lost a hand, both were seized with astonishment which soon turned into wrath. How dare you! You bastard! Yin Fengxiao was hopping mad. Since the young man was still standing there with his back to him, Yin Fengxiao raised his hand and sent an energy hand toward him. Roar! Su Ping didn't turn around. The Dark Dragon Hound had noticed the incoming attack. Angry, the Dark Dragon Hound bellowed and then discharged a ball of fire. Bang! That ball of fire bumped into the energy hand, generating a shockwave in the air. The forces of the two strikes neutralized each other. Yin Fengxiao had not meant to hurt Su Ping. He just wanted to get the young man's attention and force him to turn around. He wanted an answer. Of course, he didn't anticipate that the Dark Dragon Hound would jump out. Yin Fengxiao darted a look at Xu Kuang in the distance with a gloomy expression on his face. When Yin Fengxiao was about to make a second move, the three titled battle pet warriors from the government had already dashed to the stage after they noticed that things were spinning out of control. They put themselves in front of Yin Fengxiao. The three of them were there to stop him. Recognizing their intention, Yin Fengxiao's face became clouded. Is this how things work in your Longjiang base city, a titled battle pet warrior bullying a 6th rank battle pet warrior? The big bully the small? Breaking the rules of the competition, he bellowed. The three titled battle pet warriors from the government worked out a bitter smile. They turned around and looked at the back of the young man in fear. The fact that the young man could crack the seal with one punch had filled them with dread. The seal should be able to withstand a strike from a legendary battle pet warrior. Of course, a true legendary battle pet warrior could destroy the seal beyond repair with one punch. The young man must have exerted full strength when he punched out in fury. But the fact that a hole appeared on the seal was enough proof that the young man's strength was very close to the legendary level. He could be an old guy at the peak of the 9th rank in a young man's clothes. He could even be one of the most powerful ones at the peak of the 9th rank. One of the three from the government tried to calm Yin Fengxiao down in haste. Mr. Yin, this is an accident. Please, calm your anger. We have so many people here. You could dismantle the entire venue if you fought here. He's right. This is all a big misunderstanding. Let us do the talking for you, the other one added. Yin Fengxiao burst into laughter out of extreme anger. Misunderstanding? If it weren't for the fact that the young man was too busy healing the dragon, he couldn't even imagine what could have happened. If Yang Bingyu were to die there, he would hardly absolve himself from the blame. It never occurred to Yin Fengxiao that the three from the government, who had been extremely reverent and respectful to them and understood their background, would speak in the defense of that young man at the moment. Were they worried about a possible battle breaking out between them, which could hurt the innocent people here? Yin Fengxiao bit his teeth. He understood that if he were to fight the young man, the impact of their battle would probably destroy the venue. Besides, the young man didn't appear to be weak. The way the young man had cracked the seal with one punch was still visible in front of Yin Fengxiao's eyes. This young man is a formidable character. Yin Fengxiao wasn't confident that he could beat the young man. You! Yin Fengxiao took a deep breath, controlling himself and suppressing his indignation. Tell me how you want to deal with the matter. Lady Yang has suffered an undeserved misfortune. You must give us an explanation. Yin Fengxiao gnashed his teeth. The three from the government produced a forced smile. They cast a glance at the family heads, hoping that they would come up and help mediate between two quarreling parties, only to realize that all of them were sitting there comfortably, as if none of it concerned them. Those guys did crave nothing short of a nationwide chaos. The three titled battle pet warriors from the government were having a headache. They only went there to stop the argument and sided with the young man because they knew that the young man was the boss of that store, or at least, the boss who had come forward to the public so far. Something horrifying had happened in that store. Information of that event was kept confidential and no one had dared to say a word about it. The higher-ups in the government were afraid that the store owner would blame them for leaking any pieces of information. That being said, as titled battle pet warriors hired by the government, the three knew a thing or two. The theory was that there was someone formidable protecting the store and possibly a legendary battle pet warrior was involved. That was why the three had to step forward and stop the fight. In the event of the young store owner and Yin Fengxiao's party becoming enemies, whichever side met with a mishap, it would be a great disaster for the Longjiang base city. There's no talking needed. Apologize. Debts of blood must be paid in blood. Zhao Wuji said in a piercingly cold tone. The three titled battle pet warriors darted a glance at Zhao Wuji speechlessly. Dude, can you not tell that the young man is at the peak of the titled rank, someone who can reach the legendary rank? Why would someone like him apologize to Lady Yang? The three knew that Zhao Wuji was saying that to pressure them. Please wait here while I talk to him. One of the three from the government worked up the courage. Then, he quickly flew to the other side. While he was trying to approach the young man, the dark dragon hound barked at him, treating him like an enemy. The man stopped over 10 meters away and said to the young man, "It must be Mr. Su, the store owner. What do you think we should do about this?" The man carefully phrased his words, feeling awkward. If this young man were indeed at the peak of the titled rank, he would easily be subdued. After all, he was merely at the intermediate position of the titled rank. He had to treat the young man with respect. As his voice faded away, silence fell for a few seconds. Su Ping slowly turned around and cast an emotionless glare at the man and then glanced at the few people in the distance who were waiting for his reply. What do you think? The man from the government shivered under Su Ping's stare. With a bitter smile, the man said, "Well, since this happened during their match, Mr. Su, your intervention was against the rules." Rules? Su Ling looked at him. Did you comply with the rules when you wedged in a sixth participant, unplanned? Besides, just now, she obviously had the chance to win. She could have simply knocked Su Lingyu out to win directly, but she had to insult her opponent. As he reviewed the matter, killing intent once again surged into his eyes. In the distance, Yin Fengxiao and Zhao Wuji were shivering in indignation. Su Ping showed no intention to apologize. Lady Yang joined as the sixth player, so what? She is qualified. Zhao Wuji wore an angry expression. If any sixth-rank battle pet warrior from your base city can compete with Lady Yang, we are willing for them to battle it out. If Lady Yang loses, we will resign. Yes. Yin Fengxiao sneered. Considering Lady Yang's strength, if she would have gone through the entire process from the mass selections, more people would have been hurt by her. Our Lady Yang didn't start there, and that had helped many participants avoid encountering a powerful opponent too early in the game. We are practically giving other people a chance at the Elite League. The man who went to negotiate with Su Ping was in a difficult position. He looked at Su Ping, his expression basically said, "See, Mr. Su, they do make sense." Is that so? Su Qing squinted his eyes. Such being the case, let me join in the fun then. Chapter 373, Intermediate Position of the Sixth Rank. You! Yin Fengxiao broke into laughter. You want to compete against our Lady Yang when you are a titled battle pet warrior. Have you no shame? Aren't you afraid that people are going to laugh at you? The man who went to talk with Su Ping stood surprised because of this unexpected reply. Mr. Su, the Elite League is only open to young people below the 7th rank. You are a titled battle pet warrior. I don't think anyone can be your opponent, the man said, wearing a wry smile. Who told you that I'm a titled battle pet warrior? Su Ping replied coldly, I am perfectly qualified for the Elite League. Since you allow her, an outsider, to parachute into the Elite League, then there shall be no problem with me parachuting into your competition. The man was struggling for words. Mr. Su. You. He didn't quite understand Su Ping's reply. Not a titled battle pet warrior? How so? He was so threatening and he could fly. How could he not be a titled battle pet warrior? Or, was Su Ping able to fly because he mastered some secret skills like Yang Bingyu? Even so, how could he explain having just punched a hole in the seal? Not even a titled battle pet warrior at the peak could have done that easily. Someone like Venerable the Blade, or Qin Duhuang the Raging Spirit, might have been able to unleash one strike with the power equal to the legendary level. But such a strike would be exhausting. They wouldn't be able to repeat that strike too many times. Besides, those who could actually do so would be at the peak of the titled rank. In the distance, Yin Fengxiao darted a look at the seal and the device upon hearing Su Ping's words. Ridiculous. You claim you're not a titled battle pet warrior. Do you think we are fools? Zhao Wuji sneered. Zhao Wuji had a strong build and a square face, a man who appeared to be upright. However, he was scheming by the way he chose his words. He was deliberately repeating Su Ping's words so that everyone could hear that. The others stared at Su Ping with a frown. He had exhibited such strength, but he said he was not a titled battle pet warrior. Even if he weren't a titled battle pet warrior, he should at least be at the peak of the 8th rank. Either way, he would not be qualified for the elite league. Su Ping glared at Zhao Wuji. The coldness in Su Ping's eyes grew deeper. Say another rude word to me and you will die. Zhao Wuji was stunned still. He never thought that Su Ping would threaten him. Blushing, Zhao Wuji bellowed, you said you're not a titled battle pet warrior. If so, the one speaking rudely is you. You do not deserve to talk to me. Su Ping stared at him and said to the titled battle pet warrior from the government. Don't you have a device to test ranks? Test me and you will know. You. Zhao Wuji was hopping mad after seeing that Su Ping had completely ignored him. Veins were popping out on Zhao Wuji's forehead. Eventually, he managed to control his anger. The young man's forceful punch was still vivid in his mind, and that was a constant reminder for him to tread carefully. He wasn't so sure that he could best the young man if they fought. The titled battle pet warrior was speechless. He didn't know what the store owner was trying to do. What was even the point of this test? That being said, since Su Ping had said so, the man was eager to find out Su Ping's actual rank. Sure, we'll do it your way. However, your rank has to be below the 7th rank for you to participate. Otherwise, I hope you can settle your disputes after the competition, the man said. Su Ping said nothing in reply. He didn't disagree, nor agreed. The man from the government had no other option but to ask the working staff to get the device that Yang Bingyu used. Soon, the device that was left next to the stage was brought up. Ping! Su Lingyu stood next to Su Ping, gazing at him with worry and confusion. You're fanning the flames. Zhao Wuji grinned a sardonic grin. Yin Fengxiao kept a straight face and said nothing. Yang Bingyu stood behind them. She covered her severed wrist and stared at Su Ping. Mr. Su. The man from the government took over the device and forced a smile of embarrassment. The man noticed that the dark dragon hound that was guarding Su Ping snorted and raised its head as if allowing him to move closer. The man was surprised. That was Shu Kuang's battle pet. Why was the hound acting like Su Ping's battle pet? But that didn't matter. The man approached Su Ping with a quick step and handed Su Ping the device. The man then summoned 2 workers to help Su Ping perform the test. Soon, the 2 workers tied the device on Su Ping carefully. Please release astral power, one of the workers said, respectfully. Su Ping released a gust of astral power as the worker requested. Everyone fixed their gazes on him. The family heads and elders couldn't help but stand up and look over. In particular, the 2 from the Zhu family were curious about Su Ping's rank. They still remembered how Su Ping went by himself and almost destroyed their family. Yin Fengxiao and Zhao Wuji were all eyes as well. Soon, the signal lights began to light up. More and more lights appeared. In an instant, 6 lights were lit. But no more lights were turned on. The 6 lights began to change color. The final color was orange. Green indicated the lower position, orange was the intermediate position, dark purple was the upper position, and red was the peak. According to the device, Su Ping's rank was at the intermediate rank of the 6th rank. The color stopped there and there was no more change. The 2 workers were stunned and so was Su Lingyu. The man from the government was unable to believe this. In the distance, Zhao Wuji and Yin Fengxiao wore surprised expressions. Standing behind them, Yang Bingyu stared blankly at the device. If it weren't for the fact that she had put on the device herself, she would have questioned whether the device was broken. The family heads were shocked, as motionless as a wooden image. The 2 who were the most shocked were the 2 from the Zhu family, like a deer caught in the headlights. What? Qin Juhuang, one who had never shown emotions on his face, stood up all of a sudden. His smiling eyes were wide open, with a beaming glow as he kept his gaze on the device. Qin Shuhai was standing in amazement as well. The audience could see a close-up of the device on the big screen. The result struck them dumb. Mr. Su. Fei Yanbo also stared, pop-eyed. Behind him, the students, especially Luo Fengtian, were all standing aghast. Luo Fengtian had always remained calm. But at the moment, he had forgotten himself because of pure astonishment. Intermediate position of the 6th rank. Just the 6th rank? Su Ping wasn't even at the peak of the 6th rank, it was the intermediate rank. How could it be? For a moment, the huge venue turned as silent as the grave. After the short moment of quietness, soon, questioning voices arose. Many people were unable to believe such a result. The ones who found the result unacceptable the most were the titled battle pet warriors. They fully understood how much strength they had to use to puncture the seal. But that previous hole had been made by this 6th rank battle pet warrior? It was ridiculous. Those titled battle pet warriors had seen talents before. They had seen a monster like Yang Bingyu in the past elite leagues. However, even the champions of past elite leagues, the more powerful participants, would have never been able to unleash a force close to the legendary rank while still being at the 6th rank. That was not possible. This result had shattered their worldviews. If this result was true, all of their experiences would have to be rewritten. No way. Zhao Wuji came back to his senses. He was the first one who shouted out. He glared at Su Ping and said, "The test must be wrong. Is the device broken? He is at the 6th rank? I don't believe it." The man from the government came back to his senses as well. He was having the same thought as Zhao Wuji. Of course, the man wouldn't have said those words outright. He turned around and saw the same expression on everyone else's faces present, stunned and baffled. Well, the man had no other choice but to say to Su Ping, "Mr. Su, this device may be broken." Su Ping pulled a long face. "The device is okay. I am indeed at the intermediate position of the 6th rank." The man from the government couldn't believe this, but it didn't seem that Su Ping would joke around, even though his words did sound like a joke. The man smiled bitterly. "Mr. Su, this device might have been broken after Lady Yang's test. How about we use another device?" Su Ping understood that no one would believe him unless he took a second test. "Fine. Test as many times as you want until you're satisfied." Chapter 374, Final Result. The titled battle pet warrior from the government was relieved after hearing Su Ping agree. He immediately told the working staff leader to get a brand new device. The leader in Western attire and leather shoes called his team to get the device without delay. While people were waiting for the device to get there, things became a bit quieter and strange in the venue. The previously stunned and speechless audience began whispering amongst themselves. The match between Yang Bingyu and Su Lingyu had been stopped because of Su Ping's intervention. But according to the situation before the intervention, Su Lingyu had lost. That was not what people were concerned about right then, because everyone's attention was on Su Ping. They were eager to find out the cause of that result, whether it was a device failure or other reasons. Things like whether Su Ping used a secret way to hide his strength. Yet, no one had heard of such a secret skill. After all, if such skills did exist, such devices and tests should have been eliminated and reissued with improvements a long time before. Otherwise, the test would have been unfair. "Lady Yang, allow me." Yang Bingyu's maid Xiaoju had found her way to Yang Bingyu. "Okay." Yang Bingyu nodded. The ice on her face would only melt a bit when she talked to her maid. Xiaoju put her hand over Yang Bingyu's wrist at once. Astral powers seeped out from Xiaoju's hand. Yang Bingyu's severed wrist began to produce scar tissue and heal. Yin Fengxiao looked at Yang Bingyu's wound. "Lady Yang, my fault cannot even be atoned with death," he said, looking sullen. Yang Bingyu blinked. "Uncle Yin, it is okay. Let's deal with this matter first." Yin Fengxiao nodded to her and then turned around and glared at the young man. In less than 10 minutes, the new device had been delivered to the venue. Upon its arrival, the titled battle pet warrior from the government breathed a sigh of relief. While standing behind Su Ping, he would feel immense pressure and shortness of breath. Besides, he and Su Ping were not on familiar terms. He would not dare initiate any conversation, and the atmosphere between them had become embarrassing and dull. "Mr. Su, it is finally here," the man said to Su Ping with a smile. At the same time, he waved his hand to signal the working staff to get the device up to the stage. Su Ping stayed calm as a new device was unpacked in front of his eyes. The tape was removed and then the box. The workers helped him wear the device. The working staff that helped put on the device said to Su Ping respectfully, "Sir, please release astral powers." Su Ping looked at the man. He unleashed a breeze of astral powers, just as before. Soon, the display lights on the device began to turn on. Everyone watched with unblinking eyes. The lights flickered and more were turned on. Soon the 6th dial was lit up and no more. The color began to change and stopped at orange. That was it. This was the final result. The man from the government was visibly dumbfounded. Standing in the distance, Yin Fengxiao and Zhao Wuji stood just like logs. Behind them, Yang Bingyue's expressions changed and disbelief filled her eyes. They could claim that the device was broken on the first attempt. But the same claim couldn't be used a second time. That was to say, this young man was indeed at the intermediate position of the 6th rank. They could not believe that. That was completely unlikely. The family heads and elders were all transfixed. Of the top 5, Xu Kuang and Qin Shaotian gazed with their mouths ajar, astonishment plastered on their faces. The second test yielded the same result. This time, they could not convince themselves that the device was broken. As such, the result was true. But how unimaginably queer that was. Su Ping was so powerful when he was merely at the intermediate position of the 6th rank. Was he even a human being? No way! Zhao Wuji shouted out all of a sudden with fury occupying his eyes. He screamed, "The device must have something wrong. Or you definitely messed up with the device. You cannot be at the 6th rank." He would never believe the result. The fact that the young man who had punched a hole in the seal was a 6th rank battle pet warrior. As Zhao Wuji was screaming, standing next to him, Yin Fengxiao gradually controlled his surprise. There was a strange look in his eyes but he said nothing. Zhao Wuji's shout pulled the man from the government back to the present. To be frank, his mind was in a mess. He never expected that the result would be the same. The test device was very expensive, and the price was in the 7 figures. It was unlikely that such a valuable device would make a mistake, let alone 2 making the same mistake. Not to mention the fact that the device was brand new and just unpacked. Su Ping cast a glare at Zhao Wuji who was still screaming, eyeing him as if the man were an inanimate object. But Su Ping didn't throw a temper right away. He said to the man from the government, "Do you need to do it again?" The man stared at Su Ping blankly. Again? What if the result would still be the same if they got another device? The man thought. All of a sudden, an idea came to mind. He squeezed a smile and proposed, "Mr. Su, please forgive me but I want to use the 2 devices to test the other participants. If their results are accurate, then it will be proof that the devices are not broken and Mr. Su, your results are right." Su Ping looked at him from the corner of his eye and nodded. The man let out a sigh of relief. He waved his hand and said to Qin Shaotian and to the others at the top 5 seats, "Come here for a moment." Xu Kuang and Qin Shaotian looked at each other. They had all heard what the man from the government said to Su Ping. After all, they weren't civilians and were able to hear the conversation across that short distance. They became the guinea pigs. Xu Kuang ran onto the stage without hesitation. Qin Shaotian frowned for a second but decided to follow him. Yi Longtian and Mu Yuanshou went after them while still in a complicated mood. Soon, the 4 had arrived. The man from the government ordered, "Test them one by one." He turned to the audience and appeared to be looking for someone. Soon, he picked out several people. He said something to the working staff and asked them to invite those people to go up to the stage. Soon, apart from Shu Kuang and the others, 3 more people went to the stage. All were young men in their 20s. At the moment, the workers were performing the tests on Shu Kuang and the others. Starting from Shu Kuang and Qin Xiaotian, those invited onto the stage were tested one by one. To everyone's surprise, Shu Kuang was merely at the lower position of the 6th rank. Qin Xiaotian was at the peak of the 6th rank, and so were Yi Longtian and Mu Yuanshou. The results were a truthful reflection of their ranks. The 4 had done their tests and they turned their sights to Su Ping in astonishment. Seeing the 4's results, the man from the government wore a grave expression. He then asked the worker to test the 3 from the audience. The results varied from the 3rd rank to the 4th rank. After the test was done, the man from the government and Zhao Wuji wore different expressions. Behind Zhao Wuji, Yang Bingyu had already seen the results as well. She looked pale. The man from the government took a deep breath. The results were within his expectation. The 3 whom he had picked out randomly from the audience were at low ranks and they couldn't have fooled him. The device proved that he was right. That was to say, the device was working just fine. Mr. Su, the man from the government worked up the courage and asked Su Ping, "Could you please do it again?" Su Ping was surprised how the man would not give up. Although unhappy, Su Ping raised his hand and allowed the workers to proceed with the test. But that would be the last time he cooperated. His patience was limited, even when the man was from the government. Soon, the result came out. Just as before, the reading was at the intermediate position of the 6th rank. Seeing that result, everyone fell silent. Shu Kuang, Qin Xiaotian, who had just taken the test, eyed Su Ping as if he were a monster. This guy was indeed at the intermediate position of the 6th rank. They felt their brains were buzzing and about to explode. In their respective families, they were the blessed talents and they could easily defeat others of the same rank. But this guy present was horrifying. Talent was not enough to describe him. He was a monster who did not belong to the human race. The titled battle pet warrior from the government stared at the result with a dull look on his face. At the moment, he no longer had any doubts in regards to the device. It was fine. The result was true. This young man was at the intermediate position of the 6th rank. The family heads and elders of the major families wore complicated expressions. Halfway through the tests, they had already known what the result would be. They just didn't know what to say at the moment. A 6th rank battle pet warrior had been able to break the seal. Was such a person even real? Not even the past champions of previous elite leagues had been able to exhibit a force as horrifying as Su Ping's. Qin Juhuang squinted his eyes. There was no telling what he was thinking. Qin Shuhai remained in complete shock. He remembered how he and Su Ping would call each other brothers and how he treated Su Ping as an equal, another titled battle pet warrior colleague. It turned out that this young man was merely at the intermediate position of the 6th rank, not even an advanced battle pet warrior. The number of 6th rank battle pet warriors was not countless but was huge enough. They could not be regarded as the upper-class elite. That is to say, in the mysterious realm. Qin Shuhai's heart was pounding. He recalled that, in the mysterious realm, he would see Su Ping come and go many times. Every time Su Ping returned, he would bring back some beast cores of 9th rank beasts. Apart from his first trip, Su Ping would work solo. Clearly, Su Ping was the one that killed the beasts and harvested the cores. A 6th rank battle pet warrior had gone to the dangerous mysterious realm and hunted down 9th rank beasts. Really? On the stage. Zhao Wuji still found it unacceptable. When he was trying to say something, he heard a chuckle that came from Yin Fengxiao, who was standing next to him. Yin Fengxiao's chuckle stood out in this nervous environment. Everyone turned to him, confused. Why would an old man openly laugh out loud, one who was clearly hostile to Su Ping as it laughed out? If the device is okay, then the explanation is simple. Coldness resumed on Yin Fengxiao's face. Either the setting of the seal is wrong and energy is not supplied to the fullest so that he was able to crack it by chance, or he used some secret ways to hide his true rank. Which one do you think it is? The others were surprised by his words. But soon, someone near the stage gave a reply. It was Zhu Tianlin, family head of the Zhu family. It cannot be the seal's problem. Zhu Tianlin pointed out. Yin Fengxiao was taken aback by how sure Zhu Tianlin sounded. Since Yin Fengxiao never regarded this family head as important, he frowned. What do you mean? Zhu Tianlin said nothing, he merely pointed toward the ground by the stage, right under the seal. Chapter 375, Trash Talk? Exterminate. Everyone looked over to where Zhu Tianlin was pointing. Given the place where they stood, those on the stage were unable to see where Zhu Tianlin was pointing. They had to step closer to the edge. But those sitting near the stage had already seen it and it had stunned them into stillness. Right by the edge where the seal emerged, there was a crack which was as wide as a hand. The crack was extended over 100 meters along the edge of the seal. Xu Kuang, Yi Longtian and all the others who walked to the edge of the stage could finally see it. They could only stare with eyes as open as they would go. Zhao Wuji and Yin Fengxiao were gazing at the crack. The confident smile on Yin Fengxiao's face vanished and surprise filled his eyes. They had only paid attention to Su Ping's punch and had ignored what had happened down there. The crack was evidently a result of that punch. The impact of the punch on the seal had torn the ground open. No wonder Zhu Tianlin was sure that the seal was working fine. Yin Fengxiao's expressions changed again and again. Eventually, he took a deep breath and turned to face the young man. It is outrageous to try posing as if your strength were at the 6th rank. Su Ping said nothing in reply. He asked the titled battle pet warrior from the government, the test is fine and the device is fine. Whether there's something wrong with the seal is your business. I passed the test that she passed, so I'm qualified. Do you need me to defeat an 8th-rank cyborg pet to prove myself? The government representative, unlike Yin Fengxiao and Zhu Wuji, didn't regard Yang Bingyu as the priority. He had already noticed what happened by the edge. So, when Zhu Tianlin pointed to the crack, the man had understood what Zhu Tianlin was saying. The man forced a bitter smile. That is not necessary. I trust that you would also pass that test. To have him fight a cyborg pet would be a complete waste. Given Su Ping's strength, he could smash the cyborg pet into pieces with one punch. In the distance, Zhao Wuji and Yin Fengxiao's faces turned cloudy when they heard the man. The test showed that Su Ping was at the 6th rank. That was a fact. Whether there were skills to fool the test device was irrelevant. Even if there were, they could not prove it. Besides, if Su Ping could use a secret skill to fool the device, so could Yang Bingyu. A question like that was pointless. Since the test is over, I can participate, right? Killing intent oozed out from Su Ping's eyes and astral powers surged out from his body. The titled battle pet warrior from the government could easily tell that Su Ping was dead set on fighting Yang Bingyu. He was about to talk Su Ping out of it when he heard Yin Fengxiao's angry shout. Lady Yang is resigning. Yang Bingyu seemed to disagree, but she darted another look at the crack. Just like seeing a viper, she flinched back, and eventually gave a silent consent. Yin Fengxiao's words came as a surprise to everyone. The extremely arrogant Yang Bingyu was choosing to give up without putting up a fight. People stared at her, only to see her lowering her head. Although they were unable to see her face, they understood she had approved Yin Fengxiao's claim by default. For a moment, many people wore weird expressions. But some people were sure that Yang Bingyu was doing the right thing. They could not tell what other ace cards Yang Bingyu had, but the young man was a monster and did have strength close to the titled rank. Not even an average titled battle pet warrior would have been able to defeat him. With such strength, the young man had the potential to yield unusually brilliant results on the international stage and even win the global championship. Resign. That word made Su Ping bristle with rage. They thought they could get away so easily? You're talented and brave. I'll give you that. Yin Fengxiao said. He looked awful ever since he admitted defeat on Yang Bingyu's behalf. I will never forget what happened today. He gave Su Ping a meaningful stare. Zhao Wuji was also glaring at Su Ping coldly. Yang Bingyu had never suffered this type of humiliation, driven to admit defeat in public. Not even in that place. Never forget? Su Ping turned his gaze to Yin Fengxiao. And then Zhao Wuji. Suddenly, a smile blossomed on Su Ping's face. I heard that your background is powerful. Is that so? Yin Fengxiao raised his eyebrows. I don't think you would know. Since they had already given up, Yin Fengxiao was no longer in the mood to terrorize Su Ping with their background. It would only be a low move. Zhao Wuji sneered as well, holding Su Ping in contempt. Their background was not only powerful. It was scary. Even some average titled battle pet warriors would turn pale in fright upon hearing that name. Su Ping smiled first and then his shoulders began to tremble as he burst into loud laughter. Everyone was surprised as they stared at him because of the sudden burst of laughter. Xu Kuang and Qin Shaotian were staring at him open-mouthed. The loud laugh came to a sudden stop and Su Ping announced in an emotionless voice, "Your background is powerful, so go to hell." The air began to tremble behind him. Two swirls appeared. Roar! A raging dragon's roar came out from the pitch-dark swirl and echoed in the venue. Even the sky above the ceiling was shaking. That was a dragon's roar that no one had heard before. The roar spoke of the dragon's killing intent and rage. A fierce flame swept out of the whirlpool. The air was boiling like water, and the temperature had risen sharply before the dragon appeared. A hideous dragon's head covered in red scales stuck out from the swirl and then the dragon's towering body climbed out. The Inferno Dragon. The pungent, crimson hellfire entangled the dragon as if it had just stepped out from hell. That was a shocking scene. In the recent days, all the people from the Longjiang base city had heard about this Inferno Dragon and there were small videos of the battle pet going viral on the internet. This was the dragon that stayed outside the Pixie Pet store. The one and only Inferno Dragon from the Longjiang base city. The dragon belonged to this young man? Both Yin Fengxiao and Zhao Wuji were taken aback. One of the three most powerful dragons? They had seen one before but they never thought they could see one there. Besides, what did the young man mean by saying those words? Was he going to fight them? Was he going to end them in public? Did he lose his mind? First of all, those from the government would not sit around and let that happen. Second, say he could kill them. But, could he kill all the other eyewitnesses? Yin Fengxiao and Zhao Wuji were not alone in their astonishment. The three titled battle pet warriors of the government were also staring at Su Ping, astounded. They knew that Su Ping had killing intent but not that he would actually put that into practice. Everyone at the venue was shocked into stillness. There were too many people there. Should Yin Fengxiao and his party encounter an unexpected misfortune, the information would definitely get out. Was Su Ping not afraid that the force they belonged to would retaliate? That one. Zhu Tianlin, as well as Zhu Tianguang, were not staring at the Inferno Dragon, which had caught everyone's attention. Instead, they were gazing at the tiny swirl. From that swirl, a completely mundane and small figure climbed out. That figure was half a human's height. It didn't exhibit an overwhelming power. However, Zhu Tianlin and Zhu Tianguang were terrified, as if they had seen a ghost. Only they knew that the skeleton was the truly dreadful pet. Is he trying to take their lives? But the family heads of the Yi and Mu families gawked at this. Was the man nuts? How insane this was. Yang Bingyu was from that place but he was thinking about taking their lives. Did he decide to go all the way since he had displeased them? Qin Juhuang never imagined that Su Ping would be this crazy, either. Yet soon, he recalled a piece of information he heard from the government. A glow rose in his eyes all of a sudden. Qin Juhuang felt he could see a faint trace of his youth in the young man. Chapter 376, Location Does Not Matter. Mr. Su. The three titled battle pet warriors approached Su Ping. The man who reached him first said in a hurry, "Mr. Su, think twice, please." There are so many people here. You could hurt innocent people if you did fight. Besides, Lady Yang Bingyu is from that place, right? Mr. Su, Lady Yang's background is not something you can imagine. I don't think I have to lie to you at this point. Lady Yang is from the Star Organization, the other titled battle pet warrior mentioned. He's right. An older man nodded and said to Su Ping seriously, if you insist on taking action right here, right now, we would have to intervene. Mr. Su, please, listen to me. Just stop here. I will find some time and invite you all to a meeting. We can sit down and talk it over. Sit down and talk it over? Su Ping gazed at the three one by one. I advise that you don't meddle. Location has never mattered to me when I'm about to kill someone. On the other hand, you would have to shoulder the consequences if you tried to stop me. The three titled battle pet warriors were scared by the glint of coldness in Su Ping's eyes. They could tell that Su Ping had made up his mind. Mr. Su. A glint of astonishment and anger rose in the older man's eyes. He unleashed his astral powers. He was at the upper position of the titled rank. His overwhelming energy was spread across the entire stage in an instant. Even the audience felt suffocated. The hunchbacked older man seemed to have grown so tall that people would have to raise their heads to look at him. Mr. Su, since you refuse to listen to reason, then don't blame me for intervening. With a grave look, the older man opened up many swirls behind his back. From them stepped out many towering battle pets, some were of the element family, some were of the demon family, and some were dragons. In total, there were 7 battle pets. The weakest of the 7 pets was at the intermediate position of the 9th rank. Most of the pets were at the upper position of the 9th rank. 2 of them were even at the peak of the 9th rank. To make it more intimidating, one of the 2 was a dragon, an overlord of all pets at the peak of the 9th rank. It was a crystalline frostbite dragon. The crystalline frostbite dragons had a 9th rank bloodline. This one had grown to its prime state, the peak of the 9th rank. It was an adult dragon, with an imposing build and a height of over 30 meters. Its wingspan went beyond the 100-meter mark. It could cover a quarter of the stage. Compared to the peak state crystalline frostbite dragon, the Inferno dragon, which was merely over a dozen meters tall, seemed like a dwarf, a baby. The 7 battle pets had already taken up the entire stage just by standing there given their sheer sizes. There wasn't even enough space for a fight. That was the overwhelming power displayed by a battle pet warrior at the upper position of the titled rank. Finally, the people in the audience came back to their senses. After the initial shock passed away, all they could feel was fear. A fight involving titled battle pet warriors was about to break out. Run! Some people's flight instinct had kicked in. They were no longer in the mood to watch the bustling scene. They ran to the corridors in a hurry, trying to escape that dangerous place. While the audience had descended into chaos, on the stage, Su Ping looked up. Above his head, the crystalline frostbite dragon had blotted the light. The dragon was looking down at him from its vantage point. Su Ping kept a straight face. He shifted his gaze to the older man once again and said slowly, I am a man of reason, you know. I have complied with the rules you made for the Elite League. So, we participated and played all the matches, step by step, according to your procedures. I can violate your rules and get the championship directly, but I didn't do that because I don't like special treatment or bullying the weak. Let's take the Liu family as an example. The Liu family was competing against my store. It was a business competition and I saw it as such. So, although I can silence the entire Liu family, or destroy them, I didn't do that. I understand that kids are the only ones who listen to reason in this world, but I'm willing to be reasonable. I have been bringing out the facts and tried to reason with you, or with the world, including at this very moment. I've already told you that you would have to shoulder the consequences. However, since you still want to stop me, I hope you can indeed shoulder what comes next. The older man frowned upon hearing this, baffled as to what Su Ping meant. More so, his mind was getting unsettled because of Su Ping's words. The older man failed to see any signs of worry or surprise on the young man's face. It seemed that the young man was not surprised to see such a display of his strength. That level of calmness frightened the older man. He had to take Su Ping more seriously. At the same time, below the stage, Liu Tianzong sneered and his face was clouded. Su Ping's words sounded too wild. Silencing the Liu family? Destroy them? Who the hell do you think you are? Reasoning. Who would reason with you? If the world ran with reason, then why would people want to work hard at all? Anyone would want to act as they wished in the streets. People always tried to climb up, just so that they could enjoy privileges and refused to see reason, didn't they? Mr. Su, stay calm. We are not your enemy and I hope you don't make things too hard for us, the other titled battle pet warrior said with a frown. In the meantime, he had unleashed his power as well. He was at the intermediate position of the titled rank. Swirls appeared behind him but he merely summoned 2 battle pets. Both were at their prime state, the upper position of the 9th rank. With the 2 battle pets joining, the stage became even more crowded. Every battle pet was huge and tall. Su Ping and the rest of the humans appeared to be petite in front of them, like insects in comparison. Interesting. Su Ping suddenly chuckled but that lasted for merely 1 second. A brilliant red glow burst out from his dark eyes. It was as if the violent devil that had been hiding in the depths of his heart had suddenly broken free from the shackles and occupied his entire soul. Those in my way shall die. His ferocious voice seemed to have filled the air with a pungent smell of blood. The older man standing in front of Su Ping was terrified. In his eyes, Su Ping was no longer a young man. He was but a devil and the older man suddenly lost all visuals of the stage. Everything descended into darkness. That killing intent was so strong that the older man was having an illusion. This strange turn of events reminded the older man of a mysterious thing that existed in the distant past, something only told in stories. Force field. It was said that even for legendary battle pet warriors, the force field was a mental skill that was hard to comprehend. The skill was only recorded in ancient books and codices. He had once obtained an ancient book by chance and learned about the skill from that ancient book. No way could it be displayed right there. The older man was in great shock. The shadow of that devil was moving closer and closer and he felt he had lost all of his energy. He bit his tongue forcefully and the pain yanked him back to reality. He could see the stage and the surroundings. He was still standing there. However, he felt he was isolated. Yes, isolated. He was surrounded by his battle pets, and yet, he felt he was there all alone. He was there, alone, facing that young man. Behead him! Su Ping uttered the 2 words with a freezing cold glare. Whoosh! The little skeleton standing behind him disappeared abruptly. Immediately afterward, in front of the older man, a brilliant blue hue began shining in all directions. That blue light was an indication of many layers of astral power shields built together. However, as soon as those astral power shields appeared, they fell apart like pieces of fragile glass. The blue shields had been built up using a secret defensive skill that he had been cultivating. As the layers of shields collapsed, the older man was scared out of his wits. A word written in dark and bold font jumped into his mind. Death! No, God, no! The older man gave out many instructions and commands on his mind and he distributed those orders to his battle pets at a speed he had never achieved before. It honestly didn't occur to him that Su Ping would resort to action for real. Not to mention that Su Ping's first target was him and Su Ping aimed to kill. Help me! It was happening too fast. So very fast. His battle pets were standing right next to him, very close to him, but they seemed to be worlds apart at the same time. Every thought in his mind settled down. Everything ended. PFF. A head flew up and landed in the hand of a small skeleton. Fear was still visible on that head and dread was still lingering in those contracted pupils. All the expressions and looks froze on that face. Whoosh! In a blur, the little skeleton held the head and dashed back to where Su Ping was. The little skeleton had the head by the hair as it passed it over to Su Ping. Su Ping took the head, gathered astral powers in his hand, and with a bang, he crushed the head. A battle pet warrior at the upper position of the titled rank passed away. Everything happened within 1 second. The 7 battle pets that were about to take action lost their contracts the moment the older man died. The battle pets were frozen on the spot for a second, trying to process the sudden surge of unfamiliar feelings. They felt they had lost something important. Standing next to the battle pets, the other 2 titled battle pet warriors from the government were staring, dumbstruck. They stood aghast, open-mouthed. They had never been in so much shock before. Su Ping did it. Su Ping had targeted a man from the government. He had successfully killed him. The one who was at the highest position and enjoyed the most prestigious status of the 3 died right there. He was at the upper position of the titled rank. He was 1 step away from reaching the peak of the titled rank. Even in the government, that older man was entitled to many preferential treatments. The mayor would have to treat him with respect, as well as the family heads. But, right then, Su Ping had beheaded him and crushed his severed head. How cruel! How unruly! How utterly out of control! The more important thing was, how could this crazy man possess such power? What the hell is that skeleton? What exactly happened just now? Chapter 377, Capture. The other witnesses, such as Xu Kuang and Qin Shaotian, were stiffened with fear. They never knew that Su Ping could be so violent and ruthless. He acted without delay. Without any warning. Sure, Su Ping could say that he had cautioned them. But was that even enough of a warning? Staring at the headless body of the titled battle pet warrior, the others standing on the stage felt they had committed the scene to their memory. A battle pet warrior at the upper position of the titled rank had passed away thusly. To reach the titled rank was usually harder than climbing the sky. However, Su Ping killed a titled battle pet warrior as if he were merely pinching an insect. A monster. That was how Qin Shaotian, Yi Longtian, and the others were thinking about him. This guy is a monster. Compared to him, the level of killing intent that they could proudly exhibit was child's play. This was a truly fierce and malicious person. In the distance, Yin Fengxiao and Zhao Wuji, as well as Yang Bingyu and her maid Xiao Ju had been frozen by terror. They never thought that Su Ping would kill anyone, or the fact that he wouldn't give up without seeing blood. This was done in broad daylight. This guy, Yin Fengxiao, was the first that came back to his senses. Gazing at the headless corpse, Yin Fengxiao appeared to be afraid. The death of the titled battle pet warrior caught everyone off guard. It was true that the warrior himself had been careless and didn't anticipate that Su Ping would resort to any real actions. Having said that, the fact that Su Ping could kill a warrior at the upper position of the titled rank meant his abilities could not be underestimated. Besides, since the first killing had been done, he would not stop. After all, that titled battle pet warrior was not his actual target. "Protect Lady Yang," Yin Fengxiao shouted at once. He was saying those words to spear devil Zhao Wuji. The maid Xiao Ju nodded as well. She put herself in front of Yang Bingyu, nervously. None of them could foresee that they would meet such a heaven-daring person in a remote and backward place. The family heads and elders were stunned speechless. Zhu Tianlin of the Zhu family held his breath. He could tell that the nut job was losing his mind again. He had dared to invade the Zhu family all by himself. This day, he had the courage to kill a titled battle pet warrior from the government, in public. That was not the worst of it. The scarier thing was that his true targets were Yin Fengxiao and Yang Bingyu. People who belonged to the Star organization. He's a lunatic. The other family heads and elders were just as dumbfounded. They all thought that the young man was merely hurling out some verbal insults to try to seek justice. It never occurred to any of them that he meant to take action. Roar! Hiss! All of a sudden shouts after shouts burst out on the stage, which was appalling. The 7 battle pets that the older man had summoned went crazy after being numbed for a short while, astonished after seeing the older man die. The contracts in their minds disappeared as the older man passed on. At this moment, nothing could bind them or control them. The violent nature that they had been sealing inside them was unleashed to the fullest. A qualified battle pet should be one with a violent and cruel temper. A timid or mild battle pet would easily shy away from danger when it encountered a powerful enemy. Without a doubt, the older man's battle pets were trained well, because they were all vicious beasts. Roar! 7 ninth-rank battle pets lost control simultaneously. At this sight, the 2 titled battle pet warriors from the government turned deathly pale. Containing the older man's battle pets was beyond their abilities. That older man was the most powerful of the 3. Particularly the crystalline frostbite dragon, it had a destructive power. If no one was able to stop it, the dragon could wipe out an entire base city. As the 7 battle pets were going mad, the venue descended further into disorder. Everyone was terrorized. The old man had been killed in an instant, leaving behind 7 battle pets running wild. No one could tell what would happen next, but everyone was sure that it was nothing short of a disaster. Countless people stood up and began to run for their lives, half dead with fright. Roar! A 9th-rank iron tiger glanced around with its scary eyes. Growling, it began to run toward its first target, Yang Bingyu. The growl was intimidating. "Go away," said Yin Fengxiao, who stood in front of Yang Bingyu as he shouted in rage. Astral powers burst out and 2 swirls appeared behind his back. 2 battle pets came out from the swirls. Bang! The stage sunk. A pet of the demon family that was as huge as a mountain was the first to come out. The pet was the abyssal flesh, a pet at the upper position of the 9th rank. As soon as the abyssal flesh stepped out, a profound evil aura began to spread all across the venue. The iron tiger was forced to a stop. The tiger blinked its eyes, afraid. On the other side of the stage, the crystalline frostbite dragon was the closest to Su Ping. The dragon let out a loud and sonorous roar to express its fury. The disappearance of the contract made the dragon feel it had lost something valuable, but it couldn't fully understand what that was. That feeling filled the dragon with indignation. Right then, the dragon was going to vent its anger on that puny human being. Well? Su Ping raised his eyes. He fixed his blood-red eyes on the dragon. The crystalline frostbite dragon made eye contact with that pair of blood-red eyes. Unexpectedly, the dragon began to avoid eye contact because it was getting a strong, dangerous sense. This human being. The anger in the dragon's eyes gave way to fear. As a dragon, the crystalline frostbite dragon had an acute perception. Right then, the dragon could tell that the human being was a dangerous character. That fear had cleared the dragon's angry mind. Out of instinct, the dragon took a step back. From that pair of blood-red eyes, the dragon could see death, brutality, and something fiendish that it couldn't understand. Danger! Fatal danger! The crystalline frostbite dragon stepped backward and bellowed, both warning and protesting. Su Lingyu, Shu Kuang, Qin Shaotian, and the others standing close to Su Ping couldn't even comprehend what they were seeing. This dragon at the peak of the 9th rank was scared away by Su Ping. Su Ping didn't do a thing and the dragon was forced back. They could all feel the murderous and dangerous aura around Su Ping. That feeling was terrifying and unfamiliar. Of course, since Su Ping's target was not them, they couldn't feel the danger as strongly as the crystalline frostbite dragon. Therefore, it was hard for them to understand why the crystalline frostbite dragon was scared off to such a degree. Su Ping didn't plan on letting go of the crystalline frostbite dragon. A battle pet at the peak of the 9th rank losing control in the base city would practically be like throwing a nuclear bomb in the city. It would produce an endless number of casualties. In the venue alone, the dragon could stomp countless people to death. Go! Su Ping raised his arm and turned his hand. A glowing ring flew out. The crystalline frostbite dragon shouted as it noticed something was flying over. The dragon breathed out ice almost immediately. However, that ring flew past the ice, as if the attack weren't even substantial, and bumped into the crystalline frostbite dragon's chest. With a ding. The sound was minimum and there was no pain. However, the next second, the ring suddenly broke apart and a huge black hole appeared in the middle. From the black hole came out a strong pull that enveloped the crystalline frostbite dragon, reeling the dragon in. Once again, the family heads and elders were transfixed. What is that thing? Yin Fengxiao and the others who were battling the other battle pets that had gone wild looked over in surprise. Not even they could tell what that thing was, regardless of their vast experience. Roar! The crystalline frostbite dragon shouted in anger. The dragon could tell that it wasn't able to move because a strange force was containing it. The energy inside the dragon was suppressed by that force. The pet was unable to mobilize any energy. The dragon stuck its claws on the ground, but still, it was dragged away, leaving behind many deep marks on the ground. The dragon fought back with all its might. Abruptly, from the black hole came out several iron chains that were pitch dark in color, and those iron chains quickly tied up the crystalline frostbite dragon. Bang! The huge crystalline frostbite dragon was lifted from the ground and the iron chains pulled the dragon into the black hole. Then, the black hole shrank smaller and smaller until it closed off. Afterwards, the metal ring flew back to Su Ping's hand. The crystalline frostbite dragon that was over 30 meters tall vanished into thin air on the stage. If it weren't for the marks left by the dragon's claws on the ground, people would wonder if the dragon had even been there. A dragon had disappeared. What was that thing? What happened just then filled everyone with questions and surprises. Roar! In the meanwhile, another battle pet was roaring. It was the other one at the peak of the 9th rank, the one of the demon family. Of all the known pets of the demon family, this one ranked at about number 50. Still, in comparison to all the pets of the demon family that had appeared on the blue planet, this pet was formidable. After all, there were many battle pets of the demon family that were merely a flash in the pan and some had gone extinct. In that day and age, to find a battle pet of the demon family that was number 50 in the ranking would imply relying not only on connections and resources but good fortune. The disappearance of the dragon had horrified the pet of the demon family. The pet was screaming in fear as it tried to dash off of the stage. Go! Su Ping pulled a long face. He took out another ring, but this time, he didn't throw it to the pet directly because he was too late. He gave the ring to the little skeleton. This was not the first time that the little skeleton had done this for Su Ping. The little skeleton understood Su Ping's order instantly and flashed away. In less than a second, the little skeleton had reached the pet of the demon family. The little skeleton held out the ring. The pet of the demon family tried to fight back, but that streak of energy went directly through the ring. The ring struck the pet and the process began a second time. The black hole opened up in an instant. The strong pull poured out from the hole and covered up the pet of the demon family. Soon, iron chains extended out from the black hole and dragged the pet in while it was still struggling. Another battle pet at the peak of the 9th rank was gone. Chapter 378, Fury and Slaying. No one could utter a sound. As of that moment, not even Qin Duhuang was able to keep calm any longer. He had never been so stunned, starting with the moment Su Ping killed that titled battle pet warrior. But it was even more appalling to see that Su Ping was able to get rid of 2 battle pets at the peak of the 9th rank, without needing the slightest effort. The battle pets were at the peak of the 9th rank. Second only to battle pets of the legendary rank. If he could deal with those 2 battle pets easily, didn't it mean that Su Ping no longer had any worthy opponents below the legendary rank? On the stage, cold sweat was breaking out from Zhu Wuji and Yin Fengxiao's foreheads. Standing behind them, Yang Bingyu was colorless, with confusion in her eyes. She had always been proud of herself for being one of the more informed members of the organization. She always believed that she had seen everything. And yet, she had found no explanation for that odd occurrence. She could not believe that such a horrifying person and such strange things could be found in this poor, out-of-the-way place. Keep all of them in control. After he captured 2 battle pets at the peak of the 9th rank, Su Ping commanded the Inferno Dragon. For the rest of the battle pets, the Inferno Dragon was able to subdue them all. Roar! As soon as Su Ping finished giving his order, the Inferno Dragon stepped forward. Strong hellfire was burning all around the dragon and its eyes were wilder than before. The dragon had just gone through the heavens tests in the demigod burial and had yet to recover from that painful experience. Right then, when the dragon came out and saw all those battle pets, the dragon could no longer suppress its thirst for blood. Kill them! Destroy them! Roar! The dragon opened its mouth and released the most violent roar. The dragon's roar echoed in the venue and pierced through the clouds. The people who were at the moment running for their lives felt weak in the knees. Some of the more timid ones had wetted their pants or fainted. Bloodthirst. Cruelty. Those were the negative emotions that the dragon expressed with the roar. The overwhelming pressure lingered in the venue. Even the family heads felt their hearts racing as they heard that roar. The fear seemed to have boiled their blood. They had never heard anything like that. Was this the Inferno Dragon that was on display outside the Pixie Pet store? Had the dragon honestly just reached adulthood? When they saw the Moonfrost Dragon, they had thought that of dragons of the same size, the Moonfrost Dragon was freakishly powerful and was able to defeat all the other battle pets of the same rank. At that time, they never thought that they could see another crueler and more heartless dragon than this Inferno Dragon. The 5 battle pets, including the Iron Tiger that was eyeing Yang Bingyu covetously, were shocked still by the raging dragon's roar. Some of the battle pets crouched on the spot, shivering and showing a dull look in their eyes. Their violent nature had receded. Because at that moment, the pets felt they had become the prey. Prey that was unable to escape. The pets shivered, but were unable to move any further. The Inferno Dragon looked around and subdued the 5 battle pets at the intermediate position of the 9th rank. Su Ping didn't stay idle while the Inferno Dragon kept going. He ordered the little skeleton to carry on with its task. He wasn't going to kill those battle pets, but his previous targets. The little skeleton received Su Ping's orders. The crimson glow lit up in its empty eye sockets. The little skeleton slowly unsheathed the bone blade. Dark energy tumbled around. A formidable force that was hard to understand emerged from the tiny skeleton. The little skeleton had finally caught the attention of people other than the 2 from the Jew family who had not dared to keep their eyes away from that skeleton throughout this time. Previously, when the little skeleton was chasing after the battle pet of the demon family at the peak of the 9th rank, people had already noticed that the skeleton was not a common one. Right then, as the little skeleton unleashed that fiendish energy, people began to shudder in terror. They felt as if the king of demons had come back to life. The figure that hid inside the dark energy was the king. Granted, the figure was small. But it gave people the feeling that the tiny figure could stand upright on its 2 legs between heaven and earth, capable of even holding up the sky when it fell. Death! A figure flashed. The little skeleton took action and disappeared on the spot. Yin Fengxiao was more scared than ever. He never thought that the young man could have such a terrifying battle pet. The test result placing him at the intermediate position of the 6th rank was a joke. No one at the 6th rank was able to be like this. Summon the pets. Yin Fengxiao tore apart the air and many swirls appeared. He could no longer afford to wait. He summoned all of his battle pets. Help her get away! Yin Fengxiao bellowed. The spear devil Zhao Wuji was still overwhelmed by fear. Hearing Yin Fengxiao's words, Zhao Wuji made up his mind and grabbed Yang Bingyu. Lady Yang, let's go. As for her maid Xiao Ju, Zhao Wuji didn't even cast a second look at her. Time was pressing. He couldn't take care of her right then. He had never anticipated that they would be in fatal danger in the small Longjiang base city. Yang Bingyu didn't fight back. She came back to her senses the moment Yin Fengxiao shouted those words. Her face was still pale but the confusion in her eyes was gone. Having gone through many fatal training sessions since she was a kid, her mind was tougher than that of others. She took a look at Xiao Ju, feeling sorry to leave her behind. But Xiao Ju knew how serious things were at the moment. She put on a smile. Lady Yang, I'm sorry that I won't be able to serve you anymore. Let me protect you. Go! Yin Fengxiao shouted. Zhao Wuji clenched his teeth. He opened up some swirls and summoned a few battle pets, including a pet of the wind family that could be their ride. Roar! A dragon bellowed behind Yin Fengxiao. The dragon ran forward and set up many shields, trying to protect him. However, the little skeleton had re-emerged above a dozen meters away from Yin Fengxiao. Surrounded by the dark mist, only two cold red eyes could be seen. The skeleton wielded its blade. Bang, 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 bang. The several shields collapsed under the dark, long blade. Scared, Yin Fengxiao shouted even louder, "Magic space!" The battle pet of the demon family that was good at spiritual attacks instantly unleashed spiritual shockwaves. However, before that shockwave could reach the little skeleton, a majestic figure had appeared behind the little skeleton, a figure that seemed to have traveled from another world. The magnificent Skeleton King. Roar! The huge shadow of the Skeleton King growled. The growl was even more intimidating than the dragon's roar. Besides, that roar appeared to carry a strangely freezing and twisted feeling. The pet of the demon family stopped moving and Yin Fengxiao's mind turned blank after listening to that growl. Zhao Wuji, who was about to hop onto the pet of the wind family, as well as Yang Bingyu, felt that their minds went numb because of the growl's effect. The 9th rank pet that they rode on was famous for being fearless. Still, the pet's limbs trembled and almost collapsed because of the Skeleton King's growl, as if it weren't carrying 2 human beings, but 10 mountains. Kill them! A beam of sword light that was dark and at the same time offending to the eye appeared. PFF. The beam of sword light flashed past the dragon standing in front of Yin Fengxiao. The scales on the dragon's chest cracked and blood oozed out. A deep cut appeared on the other 2 battle pets that were standing nearby. Whoosh! The little skeleton vanished on the spot. When it appeared again, the dark energy had carried it to where Yin Fengxiao was. The small figure slowly came down and stopped at Yin Fengxiao's eye level. Yin Fengxiao had just cleared his mind from the effect of the Skeleton King's growl when he noticed the 2 crimson eyes glaring at him in the darkness. His heart skipped a beat. He was unable to see his battle pets nor hear anything else. Everything was far away from him. He had been deprived of all senses. The only thing that remained in the world was him, along with the horrifying thing in front of him. Time had stopped. Yin Fengxiao was feeling a sense of imminent death that he had never experienced before. No, God, no. He wanted to open his mouth and shout. He didn't want to die. No. Life was precious. But as he was standing in front of death, apart from realizing that he was weak, he could think of nothing else. No. PFF. The beam of sword light flashed by. Yin Fengxiao lost his head. The energy shields that he had set up around himself broke like pieces of glass. When the blade reached his neck, a dark armor jumped out from his collar in an attempt to stop the blade. However, that armor was rendered useless in front of the blade. It didn't even stop the blade one bit before Yin Fengxiao was beheaded. A head that still carried an expression of fear fell to the ground. All the battle pets stopped moving. Zhao Wuji and Yang Bingyu had just been roused after the shock from the Skeleton King's growl. They were panic-stricken when they saw this. It happened within less than half a minute. Yin Fengxiao, the Dragon Knight, the once celebrated titled battle pet warrior on the Blue Planet, had been murdered just like that. He had his dragon and his battle pets protecting him, and yet, he was killed nonetheless. He was beheaded. Zhao Wuji was horrified as he looked at the skeleton turning their way. Suddenly, he thought of something at that critical moment. He turned to the family heads. "Help! Help us!" Zhao Wuji shouted, "We cannot lose our Lady Yang. Otherwise, the Star Organization will blame the Longjiang base city. You can't just sit and do nothing." Yang Bingyu had forgotten all about her grace and calmness. She cried out to Qin Juhuang, "Raging Spirit, please, help me. I'll help you become a legendary battle pet warrior." That promise astounded everyone. Help him reach the legendary rank? Qin Juhuang trembled in surprise. But the little skeleton had reached its target. That merely took an instant. In fear, Zhao Wuji turned around. He hurriedly took out the spear he carried on his back. The tip of the spear glistened. He was the spear devil. He was addicted to practicing the spear, and he was accomplished in that regard. Bang! A dark blade pressed down on the spear and went on to cut Zhao Wuji's head. The blade halved Zhao Wuji as well as the 9th rank battle pet he was sitting on. The blood spilled out from Zhao Wuji and the battle pet drenched Yang Bingyu. Fear froze her face. The boiling blood was dripping, on her hair, on her cheeks. The smell was too pungent to endure. In the distance, while he witnessed everything, Qin Juhuang decided not to intervene. He had to admit that Yang Bingyu's words were intriguing. Becoming a legendary battle pet warrior. That was appealing to any battle pet warrior at the peak of the titled rank. That was a level that they would pursue at the risk of everything. Still, eventually, Qin Juhuang held back the urge to say yes. He did so because he believed Yang Bingyu was only saying those words under the pressing situation. That girl was complicated. She was anything but innocent. He could tell how sophisticated her mind had to be from the fact that she said one sentence that would appeal to his innermost desire. Besides, he was honestly scared of the strange skeleton. Chapter 379, Making a Bigger Fuss. Strong murderous intent. The fiendish being slowly flew up and stood in front of Yang Bingyu in the air with the sword in hand. The little skeleton stared at Yang Bingyu with two blood-red eyes that were completely void of all emotion. In the distance, a girl cried out in sorrow, "No!" The maid Xiao Ju, surrounded by her battle pets, dashed toward Yang Bingyu. Judging by the astral powers she exhibited, Xiao Ju was a 7th rank advanced battle pet warrior. But she wasn't even 20. The maid was an advanced battle pet warrior. With such abilities, she was more than able to compete with the young masters in some major families. Of course, some of those young masters, while at a lower rank, had more solid foundations. A person's rank was not the only indicator of strength. Feeling the incoming turbulence of energy from behind, the little skeleton turned around, tilted its head, and then waved its blade. Bang! Aggressive dark energy coursed down the blade that slashed at the 8th rank battle pet that was at the forefront. The shield of wind in front of the battle pet was cracked and the blade made a deep cut on the pet's head. Half of the pet's head was gone. Blood spurted out. Inertia carried what was left of the pet to the ground. Undead enslaving. The moment the battle pet died on the ground, a puff of dark energy rose from the remaining part of its head. That dark energy seemed to be residue from the cut. As the puff of dark energy rose, the battle pet that should have died jumped up, which caught everyone by surprise. The battle pet dashed at Xiao Ju, who was making her way to Yang Bingyu. Caught off guard, Xiao Ju didn't have enough time to react. Surprise still lingered on her face when a huge hand smashed her into the ground. Bang! The delicate Xiao Ju was crushed into a pile of flesh while the 8th rank battle pet shouted in rage. The huge hand made the ground cave in. The other battle pets stopped what they were doing with a dull look in their eyes. Yang Bingyu witnessed all that in a daze. Her pupils contracted and she felt her blood had frozen, piercing to the bone. The next second, she cried a sudden and sad-ridden cry. No! Tears coursed down her cheeks. She thought she had already cried out the last drop of her tears years before. She lived her life in cruel training. She had witnessed the passing of many of her friends during training. She had learned to wipe off her tears and live her life. However, this day, Xiao Ju, her maid, her friend, who stepped out of the training camp with her, someone with whom she would stick together, helping each other in difficulties, had just died under her nose. She had been slapped to death. Yang Bingyu still remembered what the instructor said to them when they were graduating. He said to Xiao Ju, "From now on, she will be your master and you her maid. You must protect your master." He said to Yang Bingyu, "And you need to guard your maid with your sword." Today, Xiao Ju died to protect her, but she failed to guard Xiao Ju. Arag! Yang Bingyu shouted crazily. She was no longer the gentle and mild girl she had always been. She was a wounded beast. Back at the training camp, No one would treat her like a girl. There, everyone was the same. The only difference was whether you were dead or alive. A profound evil aura seeped out from Yang Bingyu. Her pet's possession had not ended. On her body, the dark patterns had crept up to her face, like many twisted earthworms, giving her a hideous look. The moment Yang Bingyu was about to lose her mind, the little skeleton had turned around after it had finished off Xiaoju. Two red eyes were fixed on her. The magnificent figure of the Skeleton King was staring at her. The huge shadow was cast over her, sowing terror in the depths of her soul. Deterrence. Yang Bingyu, who was about to lose her wits in a state of craziness, came back to her senses. The craziness on her face collapsed. Tears gushed out from her eyes. The boiling blood in her veins cooled down. The coldness ran from her hands and feet to her heart. "Stop it!" Su Ping said, just as the little skeleton was about to use its blade to kill her. He had put away some of his anger. "Bring her to me," he said, emotionlessly. The little skeleton turned around and titled its head. The little skeleton took a second to think and digest the meaning of Su Ping's order. Soon, the little skeleton understood. It put the blade back in its hip bone and then turned back to see Yang Bingyu. The little skeleton unleashed dark energy, which poured out toward her. The energy took the shape of a hand that slapped Yang Bingyu. Yang Bingyu tried to fend off the strike. However, as soon as the dark hand touched her, she shook violently and coughed out blood. After the little skeleton hurt Yang Bingyu, the big hand grabbed her. With a glow, Yang Bingyu had been dragged to Su Ping from the place where the 9th-rank battle pet had been cut in half. Looking at Yang Bingyu, who was immobilized, Su Ping said calmly, "I will spare your life and wait for your organization to come and save you." No more tears came out from her eyes. She kept her head low to prevent him from seeing the anger and hatred in her eyes. She would not reveal her hatred to Su Ping at this moment. She had to live. Living was the priority in any case. That was the training she had accepted since she was a kid. Although she was in a desperate state, she would never let go of the slightest chance of surviving. Hatred. Her hatred for Su Ping would never be washed off. But she would not go on and enrage this man because it wouldn't serve her any purpose, other than bringing about a premature death or some torture. Others might have lost their wits after experiencing such grief and depression. They might have hurled out verbal insults constantly. But she didn't. That was what made her special. Su Ping looked at her. He was more determined to end her life. A dog that didn't bark was more dangerous. She had to go. Still, the time wasn't ripe. He didn't do what he did purely because of anger and killing intent. Having gone through countless deaths in the cultivation sites, he was able to stay absolutely calm in all circumstances. But calmness didn't mean that he would stay within reason at all times. He would still lose his temper and show his teeth, but even in that state, his judgment and mind would remain clear. He would still be able to choose the most suitable way. Sparing Yang Bingyu a life was a leverage. The other families clearly knew something about the organization she belonged to. He could go to them to seek that information. He had taken action there and killed 3 of them in public, just so that he could get enough attention. If he had killed them elsewhere, he would have been able to chop up a corpse and obliterate all traces. Yet, the fact that they died would get out sooner or later. By then, the organization would send someone to investigate in secret. While the investigation took place, the conflicts during the match would surely be noticed. Su Ping was not afraid of any investigation. That being said, he could not allow Su Lingyu and his mom to be the target of any secret investigation. That would be too dangerous. Besides, that would put him at a disadvantage. He would not know when the news of their deaths would spread out or when the investigation would happen, nor the progress or the results. He would rather make a bigger fuss. He was telling everyone that yes, I killed them. Come and get me if you can. Was he afraid of that? Of course not. Rather, he wished for that to happen. He could overwhelm and kill anyone who stopped by his door. He could remove the root of all future troubles. He would be on the upper hand. After all, that legendary battle pet warrior had almost lost his life in the store. With Joanna, as long as he was inside the range of the store, Su Ping would be fearless. Besides, up until then, no one ever found out about the system. Not even the legendary battle pet warrior who ran away knew about it. Joanna was limited to the store, and that was the rule that would give him his advantage. He neglected Yang Bingyu for the moment. He was looking at the battle pets on the stage that had become masterless because of the previous killings. Go! Su Ping reached into his chest pocket and took out several middle-rank beast-catching rings. He used advanced beast-catching rings to catch the 2 pets at the peak of the 9th rank. Such rings could catch any beast under the legendary rank with certainty. Those middle-rank beast-catching rings had a 50% chance of catching 9th rank beasts, and a 1.25% chance to catch legendary rank beasts. It was certain that Su Ping wasn't counting on the middle-rank beast-catching rings to catch legendary rank beasts. But those rings were perfect for catching those pets on the loose. After all, he started the mess. If those pets were to run away, they could inflict a great deal of casualties if they ran into the audience. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. He threw out the beast-catching rings one by one. Those strange rings again astounded the major families. Soon, the beasts that had been contained by the Inferno Dragon were brought in by the beast-catching rings. Some rings would miss their target, but Su Ping would simply use another one. He would frequently get these middle-rank beast-catching rings in the system's shop, and he bought them every time they showed up. He had collected dozens of them, which were more than enough to catch those stray pets. In a few minutes, all those battle pets were collected and the rings flew back to Su Ping's hands. The huge stage was cleared up, with merely the Inferno Dragon and the Moonfrost Dragon on the stage. Compared to the sheer size of the stage, the 2 dragons no longer appeared huge. Chapter 380, The Champion, End of Elite League. Right then, the formerly packed stage moments before was almost empty. Those family heads had experienced another shift of emotions. Apart from astonishment, they had become afraid of the young man standing on the stage. That young man was uncommon. The family heads believed that in their case they would have had to exert great efforts and create a huge disturbance to rein in that many battle pets on the stage. As sturdy as the structure of the venue was, it wouldn't have been able to withstand the impact when they took action. None of them could have gotten rid of the battle pets with those strange rings as Su Ping did. Besides, they could not yet tell whether those battle pets had been slaughtered or just captured. Either way, what Su Ping did was formidable. Those 9th rank battle pets didn't stand a chance when it came to escaping those odd things. The family heads were unable to say for sure whether their battle pets could have escaped the rings. That was exactly why Qin Duhuang was unable to keep calm any longer. After all, the strange ring that Su Ping used had captured a dragon at the peak of the 9th rank easily. At the moment, the audience became less panicky. Some people had yet to escape through the corridors. Realizing that the big fight they anticipated had ended, they stopped on the spot in a daze. Some battle pet warriors who had stepped closer to the stage just to have a clearer view were in total silence. No wonder Su Ping dared to start killing in public. He was completely unafraid about the possibility of hurting the innocent in a venue that could house hundreds of thousands of people. It turned out that the other party wasn't even qualified to fight Su Ping. He had overpowered them. Even the battle pets that lost their masters were unable to stir up any trouble. All the battle pets were brought under control. Dreadful. Since when did such a person come to the Longjiang base city? Also, what was the deal with the young man's test? Was he a titled battle pet warrior or was he at the 6th rank? Were it not for the established fact that there were only 2 legendary battle pet warriors in the entire subcontinent district, they would have speculated that this young man was a legendary battle pet warrior. Go and take care of that guy. Having settled the matter, Su Ping was able to tone down his fury. The momentum disappeared. He became the person that everyone knew. He darted a glance at the phantom flame beast that was lying in a pool of blood and gave an order to the dark dragon hound. The dark dragon hound still remembered the phantom flame beast that Su Ping had once trained. In the cultivation site, at first, that dark cat was a bit swollen with arrogance. After the Dark Dragon Hound taught the Dark Cat a good lesson with a slap, the Phantom Flame Beast began to behave and had become the Dark Dragon Hound's minion. The Phantom Flame Beast was the Hound's minion because the two shared the same rotten tastes, i.e. hiding at the back during battles. At the very beginning, the Phantom Flame Beast was not such a coward. Su Lingyu had been pampering the Phantom Flame Beast to the point that it was bloated with pride. However, after tasting the excitement of several battles, the Phantom Flame Beast had a change of personality. The Phantom Flame Beast had realized that staying alive without serious ambitions was the true meaning of life. To stay alive was the best thing ever. Why would I be obsessed with battles which were so boring, painful, before? Whoosh! The Dark Dragon Hound ran over to where the Phantom Flame Beast was. The sword cut inflicted on the Phantom Flame Beast's belly was deep and its internal organs were falling out. But the ruptures on the internal organs were not serious. For the moment, the Phantom Flame Beast was not in mortal danger. The Dark Dragon Hound cast a healing skill and used its tongue to help put the Phantom Flame Beast's internal organs back. While the Dark Dragon Hound took care of the Phantom Flame Beast, Su Ping was staring at Yang Bingyu. He didn't wish to expose the scroll to the public. Otherwise, he could have put her inside and that would save him a ton of trouble. Keep an eye on her. Su Ping had to leave Yang Bingyu to the little skeleton first. Afterward, he put back the Inferno Dragon that was still breathing heavily, yearning for more violence. That guy had just returned from the awesome journey of going through the heavens tests and was craving for blood. The dragon had exercised great restraint to hold back from hurting anyone just then. Su Ping looked at the two titled battle pet warriors of the government in the distance and asked calmly, "Guys, do you want to continue the match or not?" The two titled battle pet warriors stared at Su Ping blankly and their mouths twitched. Continue? Why would we? 3 titled battle pet warriors have perished already. Usually, an entire city would have to mourn when 1 titled battle pet warrior passed away. 3 had died in a single day. The titled battle pet warriors were the cornerstones of human society. Of the 3 who perished that day, 1 was from the government. The other 2 were from the Star organization, and the Dragon Knight was a senior titled battle pet warrior that had built up fame many years in the past. If it weren't for the fact that the Dragon Knight lacked some potential and was unable to reach the legendary rank, the Dragon Knight would have enjoyed grander fame. Well, they had to provide an answer since Su Ping had thrown the question to them. The middle-aged titled battle pet warrior that was the first to approach Su Ping produced a forced smile. "Mr. Su, well, how about we split the prizes according to the current rankings?" Su Ping cast him a glance. "Explain." "You take first place, Miss Su takes second place, and Shu Kuang third place. What do you think, sir?" The titled battle pet warrior trod carefully. He had been extra respectful to Su Ping. Generally speaking, titled battle pet warriors would only use honorific words when they talked to legendary battle pet warriors, those at the peak of the titled rank or top-level trainers. Su Ping replied coldly, "Do you think I would have waited till today to join if I wanted the championship?" The titled battle pet warrior's heart skipped a beat. Of course, he knew that. "Sir, what do you think we should do then?" "I said that I'm a reasonable man." Su Ping reiterated that point. "I only intervened because of this girl. But since she has admitted defeat and was detained by me, the championship is mine. But I'm resigning. So, you can compete for the championship or you can just make my younger sister the champion. After all, I don't think that any of you can defeat this guy." By the guy, he meant the wounded Moonfrost dragon. Qin Shaotian and the other participants turned pale. They said nothing. Qin Shaotian had lost to the dragon once. As for Yi Longtian and Mu Yuanshou, they could not even beat Qin Shaotian, let alone the dragon. The 2 titled battle pet warriors from the government were smiling on the outside while cursing on the inside. "You killed Mr. He after the slightest disagreement. You also slew Dragon Knight and Spear Devil from the Star organization. You're keeping Yang Bingyu in custody. And you claim to be a reasonable man? If no one has any disagreement, then my sister will be the champion." As for the rest, you do what you see fit. I will take my sister back if that's okay with you, Su Ping said. The two couldn't wait to send Su Ping away. They were shaking with fear as they stood in front of this fiend. The way Su Ping killed the titled battle pet warriors was too casual, as if he were merely butchering chickens. The two of them were afraid that they would unwittingly offend him. The one who had summoned two battle pets had originally thought about stopping Su Ping. His back was thoroughly drenched with cold sweat. Finally, the two from the government understood what their leaders meant by saying that Su Ping's store was dangerous. With such a person, of course the store was dangerous. She's his sister. No wonder she has such a dragon. The two titled battle pet warriors stole a glance at Su Lingyu, but that glance lasted for merely 1 second. With Su Ping still present, they didn't dare to keep their gazes on her. The major families sitting near the stage said nothing when Su Ping determined the champion right off the bat. The day had turned into one hot mess. In the past, winning the championship of the Elite League would have been the highlight of the day. However, it had become a trivial matter at this point. Compared to the championship, 3 titled battle pet warriors dying was the highlight. People from the Star organization had been killed in the Longjiang base city and Yang Bingyu was captured. No one could tell what kind of force the Star organization would send to the Longjiang base city and what the base city would have to face next. After all, if the Star organization intended to exert full force, they could easily flatten the whole city. Liu Qianzong's face became clouded. He hid every trace of his energy. If it weren't for the fact that people could still see him with their naked eyes, they would have mistaken that as an empty seat. He was afraid that Su Ping would see him. Since Su Ping had already killed Mr. He from the government, killing him was nothing. Having seen the skeleton and the Inferno Dragon, as well as the strange rings, Liu Qianzong had lost all confidence. Liu Qianzong wished he could reverse time right then and beat up Liu Yuan. If Liu Yuan had found out everything about Su Ping, Liu Qianzong would have never competed with his store, even if he had lost his sane mind. While his mind was occupied with nervousness, Su Ping turned to him. The two made eye contact. At that moment, Liu Qianzong's heart stopped. He felt his blood was surging to his head and the flight instinct kicked in. But the next second, Su Ping looked away. Before that, the last glance he cast at Liu Qianzong had been meaningful. Liu Qianzong understood that meaning immediately. This young man didn't plan on killing him at the moment, but if he kept on offending him, death would definitely be close by. He thought of what Su Ping had said before. Su Ping stated that he could silence the Liu family or even wipe them out. Based on his capacity, it was very likely that he could do it. Besides, given his strength, he could work with any other major family and that would be enough to destroy them. Liu Qianzong regretted his decisions. He had lived for so many years, and yet he had made such a stupid call. Liu Yuan was not the only one to blame. Liu Qianzong knew that he would not be able to escape from his responsibility, either. He had underestimated Su Ping and directly made an enemy out of him. Right then, he could only hope that those from the Star organization could wipe out the Pixie Pet store. That was the only way that the Liu family could keep their former way of living. Otherwise, in the future, when those from the Liu family met people from the Pixie Pet store, the former would have to treat the latter with respect and feel inferior. Su Ping looked away from Liu Qianzong and said to the two titled battle pet warriors from the government, "Which one of you knows more about the Star organization?" "Hey!" One of the titled battle pet warriors assumed he knew what Su Ping was going to do, but he didn't expect this question from him. It appeared that Su Ping didn't know the Star organization well. "Why the hell did you kill their people, then?" The two titled battle pet warriors were speechless. One of them said with a bitter smile, "Mr. Su, the Star organization is the strongest force in our subcontinent district and they have a lot of titled battle pet warriors. The former leader of the Star organization was a legendary battle pet warrior. Later, due to some special reason, that warrior passed away. That being said, the force was indeed set up by a legendary battle pet warrior and the organization has been in existence for dozens of years. The organization has treasures, skills, and rare pets, more than anyone can count. Many titled battle pet warriors are willing to join them. With that said, he gave Su Ping a look that said volumes, implying that he was going to face a tough problem. The strongest force in our subcontinent district. Su Ping raised his eyebrows. That was a powerful background. No wonder those guys were so arrogant. Their organization had a legendary battle pet warrior as the founder. However, that legendary battle pet warrior had already died. Besides, Su Ping could kill one if a legendary battle pet warrior showed up. The little skeleton's combat strength had surpassed 10 already. Dealing with average legendary battle pet warriors was child's play for the little skeleton. Su Ping thought for a while and suddenly turned to the family heads with a smile. "Dear family heads, I've heard so much about you." "Hey!" The family heads were surprised, since Su Ping had addressed them all of a sudden. Of them, Liu Tianzong was stressed out. His hair was standing on end. Zhu Tianlin was also scared, afraid that Su Ping would launch an attack at the Zhu family here, this day. "I haven't invited you to come to my store yet. Now that the deal with the Elite League is about to end, I hope you can do me the favor and pay a visit to my store tomorrow," Su Ping said, smilingly.